space economy is defined by OECD as the full range of activities and the use of resources that create value and benefits to human beings in the course of exploring, researching, understanding, managing, and utilizing space. The space economy is growing and ever evolving together with the development and profound transformation of the space sector and the further integration of space into society and economy. Today's show features the making of young space entrepreneurs who will change the world, with their innovative projects making the development of new services and products possible in the near future, which in turn enables new opportunities in sectors such as space biology, meteorology, energy, telecommunications, insurance, transport, which adds on to additional economic and societal benefits. The space sector is estimated by 2040 to become the next $1 trillion industry. I would like to welcome also my co-moderator, my dear friend and SSP 19 alumni, Nikita Cheddar from India. She is Indian-based space enthusiast and a social impact entrepreneur and the co-founder of SSERD. Our stellar guests from Italy, Israel, USA, Francesca, Eden, Ariana, Alexa, Owen, Eden, Hutch, James, Quentin, Grace. And they are today accompanied by their mentors, my dear friend, Derek Susan Cohen-Basile. She's also a NUSA Space for Women Network mentor, as well as the Out of the Box and the Science Accelerator program, which are her students presenting today. And also welcome Kathleen. She's the Director of STEM Initiatives at Ilead Schools. And her team is today the Dream Up of Space. Without further ado, let me turn it over to Nikki to introduce you to our first guest, Francesca Amici from Italy, presenting with her friend Idan Hai from Israel, producing oxygen on the moon.
Thank you very much, Jan. Hi, everyone, wherever you all are from. Very happy to have you here. And let me introduce to the first team which is going to present today, who's from the team called Roxygen, which is working on the idea of producing oxygen on the moon. So Francesca is from Italy, and she's 17-year-old, and she's a very curious person and love learning and absorbing new things. And that itself says, okay, how curious Francesca might be. Then we also have Eden Hai, who's a team member of the same Roxygen, wherein Eden says, I'm 15-year-old and he lives in Israel. At free time, he plays guitar, listens to the music, and plays video game. Okay, Eden loves math like me and participating in advanced math class. That's wonderful. I now call upon both Francesca and Eden to present about your project. All the best.
So we hope you enjoyed the presentation. So we started to work in our idea a couple of months ago, and the main issue is to find a better way to breathe in space. So before we talking about our idea, let's present ourselves. So I'm Idan, the leader of Oxygen, and this is my teammates, Ariel Schiff, Valentina, Francesca that is presenting with me today, Sylvia, Caitlin, Itai, and Intai. Okay, so let's talk about our idea.
So today we have many problems in terms of prolonged staying in space, but in the last years we've been hearing more and more about this problem in particular, the lack of oxygen in space. And we realized how critical this issue is, and we thought, in what ways can we help? So this is the story of how we came up with our idea. which is a unique one. We are not only saving space while creating the oxygen by ourselves, but we are also using the precious sun energy and not wasting artificial power sources. So we have the chance to change the future of moon colonization. So tell me, wouldn't you take the chance? The option for a change is in our hands, and we will use it wisely. So the problem we are working on is the lack of oxygen in space and the huge weight of oxygen that the astronauts need to carry with them. So the prices are also astronomical. So with all the goodwill of sending astronauts to the moon to stay there, we will probably be stopped by the prices. And Idan will talk about the prices.
So thank you, Francesca. For the prices, let's take SpaceX Starship that landed successfully 2 weeks ago. So SpaceX Starship weighs around 1,200 tons. Nearly 900 tons are just oxygen, 75%. So it takes a lot of space. Also, it's $1,000 to $1 million per 1 kilogram for sending to space. It's too expensive. We have no way to make flights to astronauts who go back and forth to the moon in the long run. So what can we do about these problems?
The answer is producing the oxygen by ourselves. So if we can use the moon soil for the oxygen, we will minimize the weight of carried oxygen and use this free space for other not less important things. So what is oxygen all about and why do we need it?
Well, oxygen is an innovation that was created to supply oxygen to astronauts and citizens in the moon colonization. The huge problem of the lack of oxygen in space is going to be solved. Citizens, children, adventure lovers, and anyone else will be able to discover the moon safely. Maybe they'll meet some cool aliens too. The moon colonization will be moved to the next step thanks to our idea. Our product is unique and versatile. Astronauts will be the first one to use it. What a chance! And then after learning how to use it properly, they'll be able to explain it to the colonizers as well. As humans, we will try to modernize things. So this is our chance to do it. Now let's talk about our research. We'll divide our research to 4 parts: geological, mechanical, chemical, and electrical. Let's talk about the first one, the geological part. So since the entire lunar surface of the moon is made of regolith is a cover of the soil on the moon, our device can work everywhere on the moon, as the 45 of the regolith is oxygen. We will exploit other metals from the process, the silica that contains oxygen, and other materials will result after extracting the oxygen can be great for research purposes. Let's talk about the second part, the mechanical part. Well, the mechanical part is all about sizes. Our product is very small. It can even fit in the 3 meters perseverance rover. Okay, like we mentioned earlier, the liquid will go through boiling stations. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you the oxygen journey. Well, the oxygen starts changing the metal. After the electrolysis process, electrolysis like it's a process when an electric current will separate the oxygen from the soil. So after this process, the liquid oxygen will be stored in the rover tanks. It will be streamed into boiling station with some tubes. You can see them in the first picture. After this process, the astronaut will vacuum the oxygen and combine it with nitrogen. But you're probably wondering, why do we want to use energy in order to stream liquid oxygen when they can stream gas oxygen? Well, this question leads us to the third part, the chemical part. So the oxygen in its gas form only want to spread, to break out of its cage. So in order not to blow up the transport tubes, the oxygen need to be liquid and easy to move. Now let's talk about the last one, electrical part. Our oxygen separating system includes a reactor powered by energy and only thermal energy provided by a system of Fresnel lenses that retain the sun energy. We use the reduction process, electrolysis and pyrolysis. Electrolysis that talked about earlier, and pyrolysis that contributes to the electrolysis by extracting more oxygen. So now let's talk about our estimation cost.
After some calculations that were too long to explain now, we estimated that the final cost will be around $20,000, which is not that expensive if you think about it. But now we've talked about our idea a lot. So let's face it, we have many expert competitors in the market. So we took 2 of them and we wanted to make a comparison to show you how truly unique our idea is. But before that, let us introduce you to our mentor, Jonathan Giffman, who is the CEO of an Ilius company, of an Israeli company, that helped us a lot in the process. He gave us a lot of advice and insights, and he really was the perfect expert we could find for our project. So now Idan is going to show you how unique our idea is.
Well, thank you, Francesca. The rover will be able to move on the moon and make oxygen at the same time. While the astronauts or the citizens will be in the spaceship comfortably enjoying their day, the device outside will make oxygen. When the astronauts will walk outside the spaceship, they will not also breathe the oxygen that the device already made, but also make the oxygen while walking. This is a very innovative step. Also, oxygen will use boiling stations, a very unique innovation. Now let's talk about the SWOT analysis with Francesca.
Yes, because as we all know, SWOT analysis is very important when we're talking about startups. And as you can see from our table, we decided to use some linkers, such as the asterisks and the brackets, that basically connect different parts of our project together. Because as we were working, we realized that from some strengths, there could come some opportunities, but also some threats and some weaknesses as well. So, for example, you can see that we are young and energetic, and that's definitely a strength. But you can also see that we are unexperienced. And that's the reason why we had to work so much harder than many other teams, because we really didn't know much about what we were talking about. So we had to make a lot of research, to do a lot of research. And we ended up with very good ideas though, because we're open-minded, and that's part of being young. So we wanted to highlight that while working, we discovered how some strengths could lead to some threats, but also to opportunities, and how working on a project like this really is a living, evolving thing. And that's it.
If we can be different from the experts that we presented to you and bring a new solution, we can help the science. That's what Oxygen stands for, an innovation. Thanks for the listening.
Amazing, Idan and Francesca. It's amazing project. As I said, amazing work, and you've done a good job so far. And we all wish you all the best for your, future progress on the project. Let's move to the second presentation of the second project that we have for today, which is nothing but bias, or what it does is actually aquaponic system in space. Again, one of the amazing ideas. So let me introduce all of you to Idan and Ariana. So Idan Cohen is in the second year and doing the Science Accelerator program. And he studies physics, computer science, and cyber. He likes to play programming. He likes to play videos and much interesting things. Now coming to Ariana. Ariana is from Italy. She's 16-year-old, and she attends a lot of scientific sessions and has also taken part in a lot of projects, and particularly in math computations, UN simulation courses about entrepreneurship and basic life support. Amazing background, both of you. Ariana and Idan, we wish you all the best, and you can take over now.
Okay, so good afternoon to everyone who is attending this online event, distinguished guests, students, mentors, and organizer. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here and show you something that in some ways changed our lives. So thank you very much for this big opportunity that you gave us. Me and Idan this year were members of one of the groups that took part in the Science Accelerator program. This program gave us the tool to create, to develop, and to make real an idea, turning it into a quite professional startup.
We'd like to share a bit more about us and the Science Accelerator program. This year, thanks to the program, we are able to develop our idea, to contact and work with an amazing mentor from the United States in order to improve our idea. To share the efforts and the sacrifice with other people around the world to become a real team, and incredibly, to win the competition. But before knowing we were the winners, we were already convinced about the fact that our awesome personal growth was our biggest victory. Well, time to present base, don't you think?
Yes, so, hi, I'm Arianna, I'm 16 years old and I'm from Italy, Rome.
Hello, I'm Idan and I'm 15 and a half years old from Givatayim, Israel.
And these are all the wonderful members that were together with us in the group. They are Chiara, Omri, Mattia, Lorenzo, Dron, and Alessandro. We are both from Israel and Italy. So that's time to introduce our startup. Are you ready, Dan?
Sure. So what is aquaponics? Aquaponics is a combination of aquaculture, which is basically fish farming, and hydroponics, which involves growing plants without any soil. Combining the two systems, we get as a result this aquaponics system. In this way, we form a symbiotic relationship between plants and fish, creating a balanced, beneficial mini ecosystem. This system provides a valuable option to overcome food needs. It is also a water-saving model that has caught the eye of NASA for this reason. But one of our ideas that we have decided to introduce is to add external source of energy. So when the astronaut use training machine like an exercise bike, it will generate energy needed for the system. So we are trying to solve a few problems with this project. First, difficulties with producing food, because there is no soil available in space or Mars, because the soil is very toxic. Second of all, in space, it is very hard to find oxygen, and the amount of it is limited. Our project will produce oxygen during the process of photosynthesis. Third, there is a great distance between Mars and Earth, and astronauts may feel depressed and sad. So when they will be near fish and plants, it will remind them of Earth. This is our 3D model. As you can see here, the product consists of a fish tank and plants that are growing using hydroponics. In the system, the dirty water goes through a biofilter which contains the bacteria, and after that goes to the plants who receive both water and minerals. The pump and the LED lights for the plants will both use kinetic energy produced by the gym tools that the astronauts are exercising with. Now let's move to you, Arianna.
Thank you, Idan. So, why do we consider this project innovative? So, first of all, our system provides a possible way to produce food in space on Mars, but like it already does on the Earth. So it uses a modern and efficient technology, which, thanks to our idea, is not entirely based on food. In fact, the most of the energy required will be produced by the gym tools that astronauts use to train every day. So by stimulating the astronauts to keep fit, base would allow space travelers to keep fit, but also to feel mental relief. This well-being will be also guaranteed by the presence of fish and plants, which will connect the astronauts to the Earth life. But instead, what the system needs and what it produces. Little remark, as you can see in the slide, the outputs are more than the inputs. So what is necessary? First of all, we need the fish, freshwater fish, and also plants. Then the system needs LED lights, pumps, a filter, gym tools, and fish tanks. For what concerning the outputs, we can produce food, both fish and plants, a large amount of oxygen thanks to the photosynthesis process, which could be very useful for a possible colony on Mars. And then don't forget that fish and vegetable waste can be turned into fish meal or even into biomass, which could be another source of energy for this system. So that's time to present our mentor.
Okay, so I would like to present our mentor, Sam Fleming from Charlotte, United States. He's one of the co-founders of 100 Gardens, a not-profit organization well known in the US. This company develops aquaponics system into an educational project for schools. He believes that aquaponics isn't just a feel-good project, but it is a literally strategy for the people of tomorrow. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. These were amazing presentation. All the best. And you're definitely the future serial entrepreneurs. Thank you so much. So our next speaker is Mr. Hutch Segan and James Walker. Share with us, why do you do what you do? How did you, how does it feel to be part of this project, which is led by your mentor, Kathleen Fredette? She's with us today.
Can I just say a few words about this project so we can understand the context?
Yes, please, Kathleen, go ahead.
So in this project, our young people look at the conditions of the International Space Station, what long-term, what it is like to be in microgravity and the effects of that on stuff. Up with an experiment that can be run on space stations. So both of these teams will be traveling to Florida in the United States this June, in the very beginning of June, and they'll be presenting at Kennedy Space Center about their experiment, and then they'll have the opportunity to watch it launched on the SpaceX rocket. So both of these teams have been working virtually, as you have, all year long to get ready to send the experiment to space. They did the experiment optimization at home, all in their own homes. And this is what they've come up with as their experiments. So thanks for having us. And we're really excited about our team sharing their ideas.
Thank you. I'll hand it over to James and Hutch. Let me just briefly introduce Hutch Segan. He's a principal investigator, brother to fellow launch team member Sophia Segan. He's a sixth grader at the charter school in Castaic in California. So it's very early for you there. Like any sixth grader, he loves video games, YouTube, and Star Wars. He loves collecting Lego, enjoys making stop motion videos with Lego sets. And Hutch's dream job is to work with kids and motivate them to make an experiment and go through the process of putting their experiments on the ISS, the moon, or even Mars. So you're definitely walking your talk here. And James Walker, he is a 13-year-old space fanatic and currently a homeschooled student in the 8th grade. A preschooler, James began dreaming about being an astronaut. Playing his favorite games, Kerbal Space Program, where the players create and manage their own space program. Very cool. So I hand it over to both of you. Good luck.
Thank you. This is James Walker and Hutch Segan from Ilead Schools, and our project focuses on the effect of microgravity on the germination of Docus carota sativa.
Our hypothesis is our team predicts that the presence of microgravity will affect the germination rate and root length and diameter of the carrot.
Our experiment goal is to hydroponically germinate Docus carota sativa seeds in a mixstick on the International Space Station, then compare them to the controlled experiments on Earth.
Carrots are filled with many nutrients and medicinal properties. They are rich in beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A, which promotes a good vision, growth, development, and immune function.
Why do it at all? As of right now, astronauts are eating rehydrated food packets that are sent up on supply rockets every couple of months. But when it comes time to send long-term duration missions to the moon, or even other planets, those supply rockets will be very expensive. So how will this help in future space exploration? Our experiment focuses on Docus carota, otherwise known as carrots, because they grow quickly and are easy to maintain. If food is being grown on the spacecraft, more mass from food would be carried than initially launched.
In volume 1 of the mix stick, we placed 40 to 50 carrot seeds wrapped in a coffee filter. We put 0.4 milliliters of water in volume 2 to hydrate the seeds when opened. In volume 3 is 3 milliliters of formalin, or stopping agent, which will preserve the experiment for analysis.
When the experiment returns, our team will be investigating the following. Did the carrot seeds germinate in microgravity? If so, how does the root length, shape, and structure compare to the Earth control experiment? This project, This project has been a huge part of my life for the past few months. It was great to be a part of a team that was just as interested in space as me.
This project impacted me by allowing me to be a part of space exploration with my crewmates. This project has not only impacted me, but my entire family.
We would like to thank our facilitators and mentors and all the professional help that we got along the way.
We would also like to thank our parents and our guardians.
And last but not least, we would like to thank our sponsors, especially Burpee Seeds, Ilead Schools, and Maker Learning Network. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of the Space for Youth conference.
Awesome. As Ian mentioned, you all were great and the project is amazing and very interesting. Let's go to the next team, which is actually a very interesting topic for me. The project that they're working on, the idea of their company goes like this: the mitigation of lunar dust on spacecraft surfaces using electric field. That's like, wow. So we have Alexa and Owen to represent the team. Let me just introduce Alexa. Alexa is a student at Florida Atlantic University High School, where she attends colleges, and she has interest largely in science and math, and her favorite classes are physics and calculus. She's into a lot of extracurricular activities. One of the interesting thing that we all need to know is she's an active member of CubeSat team, which also sent a satellite through or on a SpaceX Falcon. That's amazing. Coming to Owen Welsh is a junior at William T. Dwyer High School, and he enjoys playing basketball and participates on debates, and he's been exploring a lot on humans, or like humans who can go to space, particularly taking part in Mars Summit in 2018, and worked on CubeSat and has been to China. Amazing work. We want to hear from you, Owen and Alexa, about your project and your ideas and how you want to implement it. We welcome you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So I am Alexa Ernst, and this is my partner, Owen Welch. And this is our paper on the mitigation of lunar dust using electrically charged spacecraft surfaces. So lunar dust has shown to be a major challenge in lunar exploration. The Apollo missions actually had difficulty operating due to the lunar dust, and the Apollo commander, Gene Cernan, actually said that lunar dust will be one of the major challenges for future lunar exploration. So one of the reasons why this lunar dust is such a major issue is because it has direct exposure to UV and background radiation. So this is because there's no atmosphere on the moon, so it has direct exposure to the sun, and this causes it to be photoelectrically charges the dust, which means it's positively charged, and it adheres to anything that's neutrally charged or negatively charged. And because there are many micrometeorites that are always impacting the moon, and it's constantly being bombarded by these micrometeorites, it leads to dust being very fine and sharp. And that means it's very abrasive, and so it can cut through the Kevlar on the spacesuits, and it also can damage like things like solar panels and other technology and infrastructure. So these elements are extremely toxic, which can harm astronauts' health as well.
So for our experiment, we decided to try and positively charge the materials that we are working with in order to repel this dust. In order to run this experiment on Earth to test it, whether it would work on our potential lunar rover, we decided to create an environment that was as close to the lunar environment as possible. To do this, we created a lunar dust box, as we call it, which you can see on the right, out of some commercial off-the-shelf materials to try and pull as much air out of it as possible to remove any air resistance that would affect our idea of repelling the dust. Our other materials, we were going to attempt to use a very strong magnet to try and attract the dust and pull it away from areas that we don't want it on our rover. And then indium tin oxide plates, which are very strong conductors. And we were going to try and use those to create electric fields that could potentially repel this dust using the positive side of the indium tin oxide plates. We also needed a DC power supply to power our indium tin oxide plates or ITO plates, and then a vacuum pump to further remove the air from the lunar dust box. So for our initial testing, like I said, our idea is to use indium tin oxide plates, ITO plates. And so we were testing whether these would affect the output on a solar panel, as that would be our first application in in-site testing. So we placed the ITO plates on top of the solar panels and tested their output with and without, and found that there was only a 2% drop off of voltage throughout the entire process. So it's feasible to use these plates on solar panels when we're actually running tests. However, when we actually went to apply the electric and magnetic fields to the dust itself, we found that there was no effect on it, little to no effect. So we decided that we needed to charge it, and our first idea was Tribo Charging, or the process of contact charging. So we poured the dust over ABS plastic, or Lego blocks is the more common term, but we poured the dust over these plastics, and we weren't able to find any noticeable difference in charge and transfer of charge from the plastic blocks to the lunar dust simulant. So we moved on to new experimentation because we realized we needed to create an electric charge on these dust particles that overcame the force of gravity for the larger particles or the force of adhesion for the smaller microparticles. To do this, we decided to use a Van de Graaff generator instead of the Tribo Charging method. And this actually showed results. The dust particles actually started to jump around inside of our container and fly away from each other, which was really interesting to see. And then we tested it using the ITO plates. However, we were getting varying results. So we're going to need to continue our testing because right now it's inconclusive. We're going to try and revise our methods and overall find a new way to test this ionized dust simulant.
So what we want to do in the future is to repeat our experiments and use revised equipment and methods like Owen was mentioning. And we also want to refine the testing environment to make it more closely simulate the lunar environment. And so, as we mentioned, one of the biggest difficulties is the lunar environment is very difficult to simulate, especially the main aspect of our project, which is the positively charged lunar dust. And so our next steps to completing and building our lunar rover is to complete more tests and experimentation, as well as start construction on our lunar rover, which is set for 2021. We also want to find all of our materials for our lunar rover and have them ready to be purchased. And then we're going to try to apply the electric field system that Owen mentioned our testing and design for to our rover. And then we're going to build, test, design, and launch it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good luck with your project. Very cool. Thank you. Let's check. Our next speakers are sending mung beans to space. Are you ready? Quentin and Grace. Nikita will give you an introduction to our next speakers.
Yes. Hi, Quentin and Grace. Very amazing project. Sending mung beans to the space. Let's hear from Quentin and Grace. Before that, Quentin is a sixth grader, and he loves exploration and principal. He's also a principal investigator of Team Aruski in his spare time. He enjoys um, building Legos, and that's amazing, and making stop motion. That's very nice. Now let's also get introduced to Grace Thoms. Grace is 13-year-old seventh grader, and she enjoys reading, science, and great outdoors. She's the member of Ilead Dream Up to Space Launch team. So let's welcome both Quentin and Grace to present about their project and the idea of sending long beams to space.
Hello, my name is Quentin Gage, and I'm the PI for Team Radiata.
Hi, my name is Grace Stump. We are from Ilead Schools and honored to participate in this conference.
We are a team of students that were selected to send an experiment to the ISS. We are figuring out whether Vigna radiata will germinate in microgravity. It will be on the ISS for approximately 30 days before coming back down for analysis. Sometimes during a project, you need to make changes during the experiment optimization phase. We originally intended to use a Zuki, but decided to switch to a smaller beam. In the same family, because during our experimentation, we realized the beam expanded too large for the hardware.
The germination of the green mung bean usually takes 4 to 5 days. The bean is grown in several parts of Africa, South America, and Asia. Vigna radiata is thought to originate somewhere in the Indian subcontinent. The green mung bean is a staple food source, can be eaten raw or cooked, and be consumed daily. It is packed with nutritional properties and also has several medicinal properties that would be helpful to astronauts in the future.
So this is how our experiment was set up. The hardware, called a mix stick, is divided into 3 sections with 2 clamps dividing those sections. 2 days after arrival to the ISS, an astronaut unclamps clamp A, shakes the mix stick, which introduces water to the seeds, causing them to germinate. 2 weeks after return to Earth, an astronaut unclamps clamp B and introduces formalin, stopping the growth of the bean. We do this so the entire project is run in microgravity.
In the condition of microgravity, we hypothesize Vigna radiata will grow in a spiral pattern. We also predict changes in growth, such as different growing rates, root lengths, and possible cellular changes. Based on past experiments, the majority of plant life grows in spiral patterns, and different growth rates have occurred.
Upon return from the ISS, it will be compared with the control group through visual and microscopic observations.
Being on this team has given me a lot of self-confidence, something I greatly lacked before. It has also helped me in my public speaking skills and improve my writing. This project has taught me how to adapt to a situation as necessary.
For me, being on this project has taught me many skills, such as public speaking, proposal writing, professional letters, and leadership skills. It has taught me skills that I know will help me with my future.
We would like to thank everyone who has helped us with this project, including our parents.
And a big thank you to our sponsors, especially Ilead Schools and Make Your Learning Network. And thank you for the opportunity to present in Space for Youth Conference, in the Space for Youth.
You're most welcome. Bravo, everyone. Bravo, 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 bravo. Very proud for you. Just curious, Grace and Quentin, how much time do you invest next to your normal school for this project? Like couple of hours, or 10 hours studying next to it, or or is it within your school curriculum?
The workload changes depending on what part of experiment optimization are in, like what phase, if we're doing fundraising, or we're getting much closer to launch, so the workload has increased. At the moment, I'm probably splitting my time between homework and Adzuki Bean, or it's Green Mung Bean now, 50-50.
We're now opening the floor for questions from the audience. This is for all speakers. How do you think how to build a strong ecosystem to enable kids access as space entrepreneurs? What needs to be done? You know, pretty much the thing that you started. What kind of support do you need? How can we build a stronger ecosystem to allow the youth to have all these possibilities? Who wants to take this question?
I feel like a great way for more kids to access the ability to send stuff into space is to make relationships with bigger companies like NASA. And for our project, we partnered with a seed company called Burpee, and they covered most of the fundraising. So yeah, that would be my answer.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you, Hutch. Anyone else would have to answer this? I heard Owen. Was it Owen? No.
I think it was another student, but I can answer it. I think that the best way to go about this is to create more hands-on learning opportunities, because from my experiment, I've learned, and from my experience, I've learned infinitely more by actually working on something and working with companies than I have through reading out of a textbook or just going to school and learning about it there.
So how did you reach out then? How did you start, you know, from your idea? Who inspired you?
Well, I worked with Alexa, and my mentor for this project was Mr. Kevin Simmons from the Aerospace and Innovation Academy. And so he's really good with hands-on learning. He does a lot of talks on it, and he really tries to incorporate it into everything he does, problem-based learning. And so we were introduced to that at a younger age. And from there, it became more natural for us to work on a project like this. And we spoke to him about our idea. And just from having that experience before, we were able to continue it. And his mantra is, if you're never told as a child that you can't do it, then you never know. And you just think it's normal for a kid your age to be able to send a satellite to space. So just having that hands-on learning from such a young age really helps to develop this whole creativity and passion for something like this.
And what age did you start, Owen?
I was 13 when I first really got into this.
And what age are you now? What age are you now? 15?
16 now.
16. Okay, excellent. Nikita, next question. Thank you, Owen.
Thank you, Hutch, and thank you, Win. So we have a particular question from Martina to Roxygen team. Who do you propose on selling your solution to? Do you have an ideal customer?
I can tell you that Roxygen's main strength is the fact that we don't indeed have a particular clientele, because the fact that our product is so helpful, it is actually needed in the life of an astronaut, it makes it appealing to many people, and it is also very easy to use. So I can answer that we don't have a particular clientele, but we talked about this with our team, and we decided that this was indeed a strength, because yes, because it's just something that everyone can use, and it is so useful that many people want to use it. Yes. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Francesca. Martina, I hope that answered your question. We have Kathleen who wants to ask a question probably, or want to add something.
I was just saying good job, but I do want to ask a question I want to go back to the lunar dust project. And I want to tag on to what you said so eloquently. I think your name is Owen, is that right? So Owen, I was wondering about what kind of skills and mindsets you've learned specifically from being involved in this project. And I guess I'm saying that to all of the panelists. Like, what are the things that you can take forward that you've developed as an engineer and as a scientist as a result of being involved in this?
Well, specifically myself, there's obviously the more niche skills like understanding the Van de Graaff generator, ionization, all of this. But then there's the larger, more applicable skills like time management, just hard work, knowing how to fail, because we've definitely done that quite a few times on this project. We've had to revise it 3 or 4 times in just the past few months. And I think those are very applicable to a wide range of jobs. Whether you become an engineer, just go in the completely opposite direction, you still learn how to work and how to do something at a higher scale.
Thank you, Owen. Is your question answered, Kathleen? Yes?
It's such a amazing thing to listen to young people to hear how they've developed as a result of being involved in real stuff. And I think that's the power of it. And I think any of these young people could speak to that.
Okay, thank you. So the next one here, what do you think? How can we develop the capacities of many more young people to be creative, entrepreneurial, thinking outside the box, asking the right questions? What is your secret sauce there? Can you give us some advice there?
I think I'll answer this question. I think that the best way to get kids to know what they want to do in life is to open up opportunities to them and give them all the options that are available, just so they know how they want to spend their life, what they want their masterpiece to be. And yeah.
Thank you, James. Anyone else want to answer this question?
So I think for me, when I started to work on the idea like a couple of months ago, I wasn't very sure about how it will be. So as an entrepreneur, how I will work out, how it will be in the future. So I think if you want to be a real entrepreneur in the future and want to really make startup and think of new things that others never think about, so you really need to work about it very hard and also very make like a teamwork with other people, and so we can make a collaborated work when everyone can advise you. So I think if you want to be very successful entrepreneur in the future, you need a teamwork. So you have others that can help you, can give you more ideas on the project. And also you need to work hard to get an idea or something that can work. So
you have demonstrated co-elevation and collaboration. Every one of you with your team project.
Thank you. Can I add something?
Merit, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think since I'm not a school, so I'm not coming from the system, the challenge is to work with the system. So what I can do is it will be much easier for me to just go directly to the parents and say, do you want your kids will be, better? Do you want them to have a better future? And so pay this amount, and then we will train them. But I took the hardest path and worked inside the schools. So those kids, I think, worked harder because it wasn't in their curriculum, and they had it additional to what they already have. So it's a program that was adopted by school, that school even paid for it. But on the other hand, the students had to work on their own time to develop that. So for the Italians, for example, in order to fit, to other countries and so many barriers, so they had to study on their weekends. So we met on Sundays, and that was a huge challenge in one hand. But I feel that to answer your question, that what we must do is that we have to work with the system, and we have to offer the system those tools that are not just tools that we deliver to the students, but also to the facilitators. So what we are trying to do is give the facilitators, the PBLs, so many methods of work that they can afterwards take to their own classes. And we see that, and we see the students that taking those skills and using that in other opportunities, and also facilitators that it's encouraged them in a way that they register for space like competitions, other space competitions. So that is something that we really want to encourage the system to do. But we have to be honest that the systems are now don't really fit to the future working market. They don't stimulate the students too much. They don't give them whatever they need. And they are sometimes very boring with how they teach them. And sorry, I'm out of the box, so I can allow myself to say that. But and they don't give them those amazing opportunities that we see here. I mean, look, so young students, sending experiments to the ISS, or starting their first step as entrepreneur. Those things that need to be in every school, I think, across the world.
Totally agree, Barrett. Thanks for your comments here. We're like, as mentors, we're like the intermediary. We have no choice but to connect and to work together. I think it's a great insight. Nikita, next question.
Yes. So this is my personal question, and then there's also another question. So I'm connecting both. So I see that the team that you have formed, like there are a few who are 13-year-old, and then there's one 16-year-old. So I want to know from your end, is it an advantage or disadvantage, or how does the team get along with different age, right? That's something that I want to know from your end. At the same time, I also want to know your aspect on, can a 9th grade or a 10th grade student go forward and start a company and lead the company, get onto a business? What do you think of this? As you all getting into this entrepreneurship, what do you think? Who, anyone could go forward and try to answer.
As a 17 years old, I was one of the oldest in my team, and I must say it. At first, I was very scared to work with people who were 3 or maybe 4 years younger than me. When I saw that there were some people who were 13 or 14, I was like, oh my God, at their age, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't, organize my work. I wasn't like that at all. But then they completely surprised me because they did such an amazing work at, such an amazing job at organizing their work. And they were the ones giving me advice. And I was like, I'm 3 years older than you. Why are you giving me such good advice? I couldn't do it at your age. But then I think it was one of the most amazing things about this project, the fact that we could interact and be surprised by younger people, by people who come from a completely different background, completely different country. Everything was amazing and surprising. So it was scary at first. Me and my fellow 17 years old friends were very scared, but then we agreed that it was really amazing. It was an amazing opportunity.
Lovely. That's wonderful experience you had, and I think that's what we all need to take, be it from different background, and that's what space is special for. It literally brings in people from various backgrounds, different age, everyone work together. So yeah, the second part of the question still remains. Do you think a student in 9th grade or 10th grade or a high school student like you all, do you think that you can run a company successfully?
I think that at that age, it would definitely be a lot of hard work, and you would definitely need some help from other companies that do very similar things. But I think it is definitely possible. But you would need a team that'll be bringing you up and also bringing new ideas to the table. and helping you out with the immense amount of work that it would be.
Well, in Hutch, doesn't your sister have a business?
Yes, my sister runs, she makes little pom-poms, and her name is Sophia, but her nickname's Fufu, so we call them Fufu's Festival Pom-Poms. And yeah, it's a lot of hard work because I'm in the company as well.
I think I just want to jump in just for a moment and say one of the things that our charter schools really push, the E in Ilead is for entrepreneurism. And so it's something that we infuse into our curriculum. It's something that we want to help all of our kids to understand, is that you have amazing gifts and skills, and for you to find those and bring them to the world. When we first started running this project, we thought, ooh, this is a high school project, maybe 8th graders. It blew me away. And I just want to say, Francesca, I completely love your insight, because 2 years ago, we had 4th graders involved in this project, successfully sending algae. And I learned so much for them to space. And what I realized as an educator is that the earlier we can allow kids to do real stuff, helps them to develop these executive functioning skills at an earlier age and to have real meaning in their learning. And I myself have changed my own view of limiting kids and saying, oh, it has to be the older kids that are doing it. And on these teams, we have James, on your team, what is it, 5th grade to 8th? And on Quentin, on your team, it's, what is it, 6th grade to 9th? And they've worked amazingly. And so, Francesca, I love your insight, because that's been my insight the last 2 years, is I may not put limitations on young people. I may not.
Thank you, Catherine, for your comments here. I totally agree. This entire space for kids and space for youth was not planned. In the past 20 years that I mentored, I have noticed that the mentees become younger and younger. So your work becomes very, very relevant, as it is affecting your future. So we are here to support you with whatever you need and connect you. We have the UNOSA Space for Women Network mentors. You can visit their webpage and connect with a mentor there directly. It's totally free. You get the support. You can apply to become a mentor there. So we hope that this has served you, and we're very, very grateful for all of your amazing, innovative ideas. And we look forward to collaborate and support you in the future. I have a very last question. A fun question for you. For everyone who has not spoken yet, you unmute yourself. If you could have a meeting with someone, we have the background noise there. Yeah. If you could have a meeting with someone, anyone from the space field, present or past ones, who would this be and why?
Can I answer it?
Idan, yes.
Yes, I think I want to meet with Elon Musk, because he's a very innovative man, and I think that there is a lot to learn from him.
I would totally agree. I would do the same. He never sent any of his children to school. Actually, he has this Ad Astra school, right? No one gets grades. They are just solving relevant problems right now. So. He doesn't care even about any degree, Elon, and he's the most successful space entrepreneur. Anyone else would like to answer here?
Yeah, I would like to answer. So I would like to have a meeting with Samantha Cristoforetti, who is an Italian astronaut. And yeah, she make me keen on in space, because she makes some video on YouTube, in which she talks about his trip on space on the ISS, and I think that it will be amazing to meet her and ask her how did she did she take this passion and this great courage to do this, and it will be very amazing.
Thank you, Ariana. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for participating. Thank you for all of your vibrant, energetic presentations, and thank you for your mentors, Kathleen and Barrett, to support this show today. And thank you for my friend Nikita from SSERD. You can check out, she has also very cool programs online. So wishing you all the success for the future, and reach out if you need any support and help.